let's get started by taking a look at everything we have in the box for Project 2.1, the electric kalimba. So the first thing you'll see when you open the box is this little bag filled with parts and also a nice carrying case and cleaning cloth. So that's going to be important because these are the parts we're going to be putting inside our kalimba. And after taking away this little piece of foam, we come to the actual kalimba itself. Now, the kalimba is an African instrument which is played with your thumbs. And this one happens to be tuned to the C major scale, which means basically almost everything you do on it will sound nice, so that's a good thing. And when it comes to the box, the only other thing that's inside the box is this little hammer, but you don't have to worry about that, as that's only for tuning the kalimba, which you don't need to do since it comes pre-tuned. So we can now close up this box and set it off to the side. I'm going to take it off my workspace because the last thing we want is a cluttered workspace. Awesome. So now that we have the kalimba, let's open up our bags. So these are piezo-electric pickups, which means that this is a crystal that when it's vibrated it creates an electrical signal, and that's what we'll be using to, well, to pick up what we play. And then there's one more very small component, but very important component. This here. This is an audio jack. This is what the cable will plug into. Alright, so let's put our components on the side and make sure that our table is ready, our workspace is ready for us to begin. So I'll be soldering over here with the helping hands. So I'll probably be putting the kalimba here, and everything I need to begin over here. So before we begin, I'd like to mention the instructions or the handbook. You can follow along in the handbook itself, or if you need the instructions conveyed to you in a different way, it is good to always have your documentation, or just the instructions basically. I'll be mentioning everything you need to know, and I will put each step as a chapter in the video, which means that you'll be able to look in the description and jump to each step individually as you wish. And of course, feel free to pause the video, rewind, and watch again, and check the book whenever you need to. So yeah, let's put that to the side and look back to it as we work. So since we're starting to work with the soldering iron, it's time to take our safety glasses and put them on. Remember, always be careful. ABC, don't forget your ABCs. Alright. So, step 2.1.1. What we'll be doing now is grabbing a pickup and the audio jack and putting them into our helping hands. With these pickups, they are a piezo-electric disc, which means that this part here is what will get the audio from the kalimba. So we want to be gentle, because if you pinch it too hard you might hear a crack. It'll probably still work, but it might not work as well. So let's try, and if we grab it by the sides like this. And thankfully our helping hands are a little gentler than snapping fingers, so we can gently place the disc like so, and it will be perfectly fine. No cracking here, nothing to worry about. And in another one of the helping hands, let's take our jack and let's make sure to have these two leads exposed so that the wires can get to them. Let's do it just like that. And actually, before I put it in there, I will mention that there are two of these tabs here. Now we have to pay attention to the way we wire it. So the black wire is the ground wire, and the red wire is the live wire. And we want to wire the ground wire to the center, because that's the ground in the cable. So what we will do is we will look at the tabs and see which one connects to the center. You can see just by looking on the inside here, you'll be able to tell which one it is. So if you have it with this the bigger tab facing down and it's pointing towards you, it'll be the left one, and the right one will be the red wire. So again, if we have this tab facing us, the like thicker lead without the hole, the thicker metal part without the hole facing us, the left one will be the black wire and the right one will be the red wire. So let's put that in our helping hands and move on to step 2.1.2. So I actually don't recommend doing this, as it's a little more difficult than I would like it to be. These wires are very thin. So if I were you, I would leave them be. It might make soldering a little more difficult, but it sure beats cutting the wires short. So continuing on to step 2.1.3. So after moving your helping hands to make sure that your wire can be held perfectly in place, like so, you can even move them so that the wire will just stay there by itself. You feel free to pause the video and play around with it right now. I'll probably jump back in a few seconds. Alright, after you're satisfied that you'll be able to solder, grab your solder and your iron. Make sure that you have enough sticking out so that it won't get to your fingers and burn you. You're going to want a good amount, a good half finger length maybe. And grab your iron. So what we're looking to do is touch the tip of the iron, of course, and touch the solder to the tip. Make sure your iron is hot enough to melt, and there we go. Beautiful. Let's place the iron back and inspect what we did. Looks secure to me. So now let's position the other one is going where we want it. Oh, again, don't be afraid to play around with it until it's exactly where you want it, so you don't have to hold it in place. That'll make soldering so much easier for you, so you only have to worry about the solder and the iron itself. So once the cable is in place, again, make sure your solder is sticking out sufficiently, and grab your iron by the grip and solder the joint. Okay, now that we've soldered both connections and we're happy, gently tugging, gently, because solder is brittle and you don't want to tug it too hard. Just gently give it a tug, see if it's a good connection, and unclip both components, now connected, from the helping hands. And there you go. The next step will be to install them in the kalimba. For step 2.1.4, we're going to unthread this here, this nut, and we're going to take one of the washers out. And make sure you put it in a secure spot, right here, so you don't lose it. And we'll be grabbing our kalimba. Now that we have our kalimba, we will take our jack and we will push it through the back of the kalimba so that it sticks out. This might be a little finicky, take a little work, so we're going to want it like this. And then in this order, we will grab the washer first, and then the nuts, and we will twist it on there so that it is firmly in place. Make it hand tight only, and there you go. This is your audio jack. This is where we plug the cables in. Okay, so once we have the cable looking like this, sticking out the front, and our jack firmly in place, we can place the kalimba down. We can move on to the electrical tape from our kits. So we're going to want a piece of tape that's longer than the pickup on the kalimba so we can tape it down securely in place. So you're going to want a little bit of extra tape, like a little longer than you think it should be. And we're going to grab our kalimba and put the tape like so across the top where the wires are coming out. We're going to want the shiny side down, and of course you see the tape is sticking out on both sides. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stick it on the kalimba itself. It'll probably take a little bit of playing, but I'm just going to reach in there, and there we go. Place it down just like that. And the wire should be hiding in there, and the microphone should be snugly sitting inside of our kalimba. So that concludes putting a pickup in the kalimba. After we finish step 2.1.5, we're done. We can put this to the side and get to work on the amplifier. Project 2.2.